Hello, today I'm going to talk to you about my I Do Dates program. This is a program for married couples at your church. They come to a church event, and you can do this up to 6 times, and you can go beyond that if you would like. Where they come and after an ice breaking exercise, they listen to one of my 10-minute introductions to one of my marriage enrichment programs. Then they go out on their personal private date while the church provides childcare. Then after the date, of course, they pick up their kids. And during the week, they listen to one 60-second video on a marriage tip. So that helps them increase their marriage happiness. So today in the studio, I have my AI personalities, Alexander and Isabella, and they will go over this program. And then I will come back on and explain anything that they have missed. So here we go with Alexander and Isabella.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're cutting straight through a pile of research notes and transcripts. We're aiming to distill it all into some really high impact knowledge for you.
That's right.
Our focus, accelerating your understanding of, well, proactive marriage enrichment. Specifically, we're diving into the very distinctive programs from marriage educator Ken Schaefer.
Yeah, and it's a truly unique approach we're looking at. Schaefer, he doesn't really lean on standard counseling stuff. Instead, he uses these super memorable, analogy-driven systems. I mean, everything from body parts, military strategy, even surfing and space exploration.
Wow, okay.
The goal is to create relationship concepts that actually stick.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to unpack those memorable bits and give you some actionable steps for strengthening your relationship, proactively.
Okay, before we jump into the real meat of it, let's just quickly touch on Schaefer's background, based on what our sources say.
Good idea.
We see he's got nearly 50 years of marriage experience himself, some seminary training, and over 20 years in marriage education.
That's a lot of experience.
But it's really crucial, and the sources stress this, to note the distinction he makes. He functions as an educator. He provides tools, right? He's not presenting himself as a licensed counselor or therapist.
Exactly. And that's key to his whole philosophy. It's centered on education, providing support before couples hit crisis mode.
Right. Preventative.
Think of it less like emergency intervention and more like detailed, intentional instruction, helping couples build a strong foundation way before, the leaks start showing up.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's start with the delivery system itself, because the way it's structured seems designed to tackle those, common hurdles in busy modern life. This is the I Do Bates program.
Yeah, what the sources really highlight here is how accessible it is. It kicks off with a pretty short group intro, maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
Couples gather, usually at a church or some central spot, for a quick themed discussion, a little lesson or tip.
And here's the part the sources flag as like practical genius. During that intro, reliable childcare is provided by the organizers.
Oh, that's huge.
Totally. Finding and paying for a sitter, that's often the biggest barrier stopping couples from getting that regular time together. So remove that hurdle.
And participation goes way up. It's smart. It removes the friction right where it usually happens.
Exactly.
So once that short intro wraps up, the couples head out on their own private date. And the rules for this date time are very specific, very intentional.
Okay, what are we talking about?
The sole purpose, the only purpose, is to have fun and connect.
Just fun. So if that's the only goal, how does he define the boundaries? What are couples told not to do?
Yeah, the rules are pretty strict, actually, because they're meant to protect that fun.
Yeah.
You're explicitly told, do not discuss work, money, chores, the kids, any responsibilities or, ongoing problems.
Right, keep it light.
The idea, and this ties into the bigger picture we'll get to, is that date night is kind of sacred time. It's set aside just for connection, for making positive memories. You can't really troubleshoot and build intimacy at the same time. Right?
Yeah.
It kind of taints the good feeling.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like practicing positive reinforcement for the relationship itself. Okay, and to keep that learning going during the week, there's this concept. I think the source material says he can't technically call it homework.
Yeah, exactly. They're these 60-second YouTube shorts.
Oh, perfect.
It's brilliant for nowadays, right? short, punchy, easy to watch on your phone during a commute or whatever. They're like little micro reminders helping those tips from the intro session stick.
Yeah, keeps it top of mind.
It really shows his commitment to making the knowledge usable, memorable, which actually leads us perfectly into his main mnemonic system.
Okay, this is where I think it gets really creative. The head to toe marriage program. Using the body as a framework. That's just smart. It's a physical memory aid that everyone relates to. It's always with you.
Totally. You remember the advice just by thinking about, well, your own body?
So let's walk through it, starting at the top.
Okay, let's start with the head. But we need to unpack the application here, not just define it. The head means thinking ahead. It's about foresight, yeah. Thinking about consequences, really counting the cost before you act.
He apparently references Luke 14.28 about who starts building without figuring out the cost first. But the core idea, secularly speaking, is just mapping out consequences.
Right.
And it's not just for huge things like buying a house or kids. It's daily stuff too. Like, are you saying yes to too much at work or planning a late night with friends when maybe your partner really needs you home? The head says, run the scenario first.
Exactly. Run the simulation. Okay, so if the head is foresight, then the eyes are about paying attention, seeing needs.
Okay.
This means really stepping outside your own head and looking at your partner's world.
Yeah.
Are they totally wiped out? Is the kitchen a disaster zone they haven't had a second to deal with? It's more than just seeing a problem. It's about anticipating and meeting those unspoken needs.
So head and eyes are about gathering info, thinking, and seeing.
Yeah.
Then you need the guts, which stands for courage.
Yeah, and this is often the toughest bit, isn't it? That inner strength you need to actually prioritize your spouse's needs over your own comfort or what you want right now. It's basically self-sacrifice.
That definitely sounds challenging. There's a tension there, right? We just talked about the toes being for fun later on, but the guts demands sacrifice. How does he balance that? Like, doesn't constant sacrifice just drain the relationship?
That's a really good point. The sources suggest it's not about being a martyr constantly. The sacrifice from the guts is meant to be strategic.
Strategic sacrifice. How so?
You sacrifice your personal comfort for the health of the relationship, which ultimately makes the fun possible later. Like having the courage to tackle a difficult conversation now prevents a huge blow up later. It's like a proactive investment of courage.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Investing courage now for health later. All right, after that sort of insight and courage trio, we hit communication, starting with the ears for listening.
And the key insight here is that most people, well, we listen to reply, don't we? We're busy forming our comeback instead of actually understanding.
So true. He cites James 1.1, be swift to hear, slow to speak. If you translate that to just practical communication, it's kind of like the 80-20 rule, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Spend 80% of the time really, truly listening, reflecting back maybe, and only 20% actually responding. The goal is absorbing, understanding, not winning.
Okay, so if you've really listened, the next challenge is controlling what comes out, the mouth for speaking wisely.
Exactly. Words have immense power. Schaefer uses that metaphor from James 3, a tiny spark, one careless word can basically burn down the whole relationship.
Wow.
So this demands you choose kindness. Use words to build up, not tear down, echoing things like Colossians 3.19. Choose your words carefully.
Okay, this communication part leads right to the emotional core, the heart, which is about love and forgiveness.
Yeah, sacrificial, unconditional love. And that willingness to forgive, referencing Ephesians 4.32, about being kind and tenderhearted. It's like the engine for emotional repair in the relationship.
Okay, now, here's the one that seemed really different, almost a curveball when reading the notes. The nose for intuition.
Yes, this one is really unique, isn't it?
It totally is. I mean, you'd expect nose to be about, I don't know, smelling trouble or maybe noticing bad habits, but using it for subtle intuition.
Yeah.
That's quite insightful.
It really is. The core idea is that intuition, that sort of gut feeling in a relationship, it's often the quietest signal. And it's the one we tend to dismiss, right? Like, oh, I'm just being anxious or I'm paranoid. Schaefer argues that if something just doesn't smell right, if you get that little nudge about distance or maybe dishonesty, you have to trust that feeling. Seek guidance. Address it before it grows. It's about committing to noticing the subtle stuff.
That's actually quite profound. Okay,
What?
so nose is intuition. Then the hands focus on intimacy, specifically sexual intimacy.
Right. And the material emphasizes this as being about mutual pleasure, mutual giving, not just selfish gratification, which aligns with the principles you see in, say, 1 Corinthians 7 about mutual obligation and care within marriage.
Okay, moving down, the knees.
Yeah.
This represents service and humility.
Yeah, marriage is fundamentally a partnership, right?
Yeah.
So the knees remind us of that interdependence,
Yeah.
serving one another. It ties back to that Genesis 2.24 idea of two becoming one flesh, where different parts rely on each other.
Makes sense. And finally, we hit the ground. The feet. These are for taking action.
Exactly. Schaefer points out, talk is cheap. If feet equal action, this is where you stop just thinking about the relationship and you actually do something. Sign up for that class. Make that difficult call. Follow through on promises you made with your mouth. Walk the walk.
Okay, walking the walk. And then tying it all together, the very last part. The toes, which are for fun.
Yes. After all that hard work, the head, the guts, the feet, you absolutely cannot forget the joy.
Right.
The toes bring us full circle back to the whole point of the I Do Dates program.
Right.
Prioritizing hobbies, laughter, lightheartedness, keeping that spark alive.
Yeah.
It's like the built-in reward system for doing all the other stuff.
That whole head to toe structure,
Yeah.
it's really solid. From the philosophy with the head down to implementation with the feet and then maintaining it with the toes. Very powerful.
It really is.
But that framework, it's just one piece of his toolkit, right? Let's look at some of the other analogy-based programs. They seem to offer specialized tools for different kinds of challenges.
Absolutely. We shift gears here, moving from anatomy to the battlefield with marriage armor.
Okay, marriage armor.
This toolkit uses military defense metaphors. It draws on some older scriptural concepts too, but the focus is on relational resilience, building defense mechanisms for the marriage.
And a key piece here, the notes highlight, is the shield of faithfulness. This seems to be about proactively guarding the marriage against threats, both inside and out, especially deceit.
Yeah, and the source material uses that really potent story of Isaac and Rebekah to show just how devastating hidden lies can be, how even small deceptions can completely erode trust over time.
That need for honesty links right into the next one, doesn't it? The inner work needed for marriage attitudes.
Exactly. This program is kind of loosely based on the Beatitudes, those happy hour statements. It pushes you to cultivate positive inner qualities.
Like what?
Things like humility, gentleness, compassion, purity of heart. It forces you to really examine the motivations behind your actions. Why are you doing what you're doing?
Okay, so moving from inner work to dealing with conflict. We get a surfing analogy, marriage wipeouts.
Yeah. This one's about learning from the inevitable mistakes, the wipeouts, and trying to avoid total crises.
So what are the surfing analogies here?
Yeah, they're pretty vivid. He talks about avoiding riptides, those hidden currents of bad habits or unresolved issues that can just silently pull a relationship out to sea.
Dangerous.
And if you do get caught in the riptide, you need a lifeline. That means seeking out a third party, an objective view like a counselor, pastor, trusted mentor.
Someone outside the emotional current.
Exactly. And the goal in conflict, it's stressed, should always be seeking win-win solutions, making sure both partners feel heard and respected, even when you have to compromise.
Okay, win-win. And then the last big analogy, this one sounds grand scale. Out of this world marriage, space exploration.
Yeah, framing the marriage like a big, complex mission, something that needs serious planning and, importantly, objectivity.
Okay, how does that play out?
This is where the idea of mission control comes in. When you're in the relationship, stuck in the emotional atmosphere, your perspective gets warped, right?
Sure, hard to see clearly.
Mission control is the analogy for stepping outside, getting that objective viewpoint, asking someone neutral to just look at the data, basically. It really highlights how easily we become blind to our own faults because we're so invested emotionally.
And this framework, it seems specifically designed to counteract the blame game.
Oh, absolutely. Schaefer argues really strongly that real lasting change, it has to start with looking inward, examining your own stuff, selfishness, lusts, pride, whatever it is, before you even think about pointing fingers.
So it connects the feet, the action, back to the head's introspection and the gut's self-sacrifice.
Perfectly. It all ties together. If you synthesize all these systems, the armor, wipeouts, attitudes, head to toe, they're all hammering home one core, consistent message.
So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for you, the listener? What's the big takeaway from digging into Schaefer's work?
I think it boils down to this. A truly thriving marriage isn't some happy accident. It doesn't just happen. It's the direct result of constant, intense intentionality, deep self-awareness, and consistent proactive effort.
Yeah.
You have to actively build it, protect it, and crucially remember to enjoy it every single day.
And the real value we found in pulling apart these sources is just how effective these analogies are for making the learning stick, right? For making it memorable and quick to recall.
Definitely. When you need to check your motives, you think attitudes, need courage, think guts, need perspective, mission control.
It gives you mental shortcuts.
Which brings us neatly to our final provocative thought for you to chew on this week. Building on that really unique nose concept, intuition, ask yourself this. What's one small, maybe subtle feeling, that little intuitive nudge in your relationship that you've possibly been dismissing lately? Maybe writing it off as just anxiety or stress. And then consider this. What immediate, maybe courageous action would it demand from you if you chose, starting right now, to actually trust that inner sense?
Something to definitely reflect on. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, keep learning.
Thank you, Alexander and Isabella. I want to clarify a couple things. So they mentioned 20 to 30 minutes inside at the church. So that's the time where you have the ice-breaking exercise and the marriage and enrichment introduction. Those run 10 to 12 minutes, something like that. And then again, the church is providing childcare during that date. They mentioned that homework. So they're 60-second videos. Each week is regarding the topic that they heard at the church. So go through, like, for example, the head to toe. One day would be about the head, thinking of consequences. One day would be about the eyes, seeing opportunities, putting your spouse first. That's based in Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 to 4. Which brings up another point. AI is very difficult to work with, and it just can't get the idea of chapter and verse. So it uses this designation of points. Instead of Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 to 4, it mentions Philippians 2.3-4. So that's just an AI issue. Talking about the guts versus the knees. So they sound similar, but they're really not. When I talk about guts and it says like someone has guts, that's courage to do something that you normally would not want to do at all. Whereas the knees is serving each other. You may not like it, but it's not that same repulsive view. So sometimes I have to step out of myself, outside my personality maybe, and take some guts to do what my spouse wants. So that's what the guts is all about. Also, they mentioned the nose and mentioned intuition. I also mentioned this is also the Holy Spirit. When the Holy Spirit tells you, sometimes when you're going to say something, sometimes you get this little nudge and say, maybe I shouldn't say that. That can be the Holy Spirit, or if you're not saved, or even if you are saved, there is that component of a conscience too. I see those as two separate things. Actually three. So you have intuition, we have conscience, and we have the Holy Spirit. The aspect of the toes, they threw that in there. I don't talk about the toes. I actually stop. I call it a head to toe marriage, but I actually stop with the feet. And that's going out and doing like we're doing tonight when you go out on your date. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have this program at your church and enjoy the program. So until next time, thank you. Bye-bye.